Welcome back to Hannity Colmes. I'm Michael Reagan, filling in for Sean Hannity. Is paddling in schools a good way to keep kids in line, or does it just encourage more violence? Some trustees in a Dallas school are in a battle right now over the right to continue using corporal punishment. We're joined now by Ron Price, a Dallas public school trustee. Ron, welcome to the Michael Reagan Talk Show. I said Michael Reagan Talk Show.
Wait a minute.
I'm so used to saying that.
Wait a second.
You know I do talk radio?
You come and you take over.
I'm sorry. Now I got to go to Ron. I should be spanked. Anyway, Ron, you spank your kids?
You should be spanked, but I'll vote for that.
You know, I grew up in a house. My mother, God love her, spanked me on the back of each leg 10 times. And she only had to do it a couple of times, and I learned real quick, you know, I better not cross Mom. In fact, one time I walked into the library where she was at. I said, Mom, I need to be in the library. And she said, why? I said, I've done something terribly wrong. I need to be spanked. I actually volunteered for it. But you know something? That spanking told me when I was doing something right, when I was doing something wrong, and what the P's and Q's were. Isn't that what it's supposed to do?
Yes, sir. Yes, I totally agree.
What's happening with what's going on in Dallas?
Well, there's a couple of my colleagues.
You don't have kids yet, Alan. You'll understand someday.
Give me a chance. I just...
Well, a couple of my colleagues here in Dallas don't believe in corporal punishment. I respect their views. But there's a lot of people who do believe in corporal punishment. I respect their views. A lot of parents in the district I represent a very poor district. I have mothers who have 3 or 4 children, no father at home. Some of the schools I represent, 90% of the schools are single-parent mothers with no father figures around. And the only sort of discipline the child receives is at school.
And that's right.
Males, some of the only males these kids see are at school.
We can deal with them. Can't we deal with them in school and give them corporal punishment, them and hold them accountable, or we're going to have to deal with them later on when they get out of school, and finally the police and society has to deal with them in another way. I think it doesn't cause children to go off the page and become violent. I think it causes children not to be violent.
Well, there's a reason why we've built more prisons than schools here in the state of Texas. And we don't. That's because of lack of discipline. We need discipline and structure.
Hey, Ron,
I know I know a lot of people out there say we need prayer back in school, but it takes discipline to even pray.
Before we get to prayer, let's deal with the spanking issue, one thing at a time.
Sure.
Ron, it's Alan, good to have you on the program. Look, the issue here isn't just spanking and corporal punishment. It's whether or not the school should do it. The question is, should parents, and do parents want to entrust to the state, to the government, meaning employees of the school, of the state, the right to spank your kids? That is a parental decision, and not a decision. And you want... Basically, you want to mandate, and they do mandate in Texas, that the school has that right in some districts.
No, but no, that's great. You made a great point. It should be the parent's choice, and that's all I'm fighting for here in Dallas. There's some of my colleagues say we don't need corporal punishment, period. Yeah, but there's a lot of parents who want our help, who need our help, and we should let the parent decide.
But doesn't it state that in some places it's up to the school can do it with or without parental consent in some places?
Well,
that's
in some
wrong,
places,
isn't it?
But not here in Dallas. That is wrong.
But in some districts they can do it that way. That's wrong.
Well, that's some districts. But here in Dallas, you have to have the parent consent, and that's what we have.
But
that's
I can't imagine
that I support.
I'm not a parent yet. I just got married 2 weeks ago, so give me a little time here. But the fact of the matter is that thank you, counting on me. Bring more liberals into the world. But the idea that I would entrust to a school system or to anybody other than my wife or myself to spank my kid. I wouldn't see that power to somebody else.
If I could jump in for a minute, so you know what they're doing instead? They don't spank the children, and the children need to be spanked. Sister Mary Cyprian had 20 ADD kids in her class till she spanked it out.
Wait, it's not
now they're giving us drugs.
That may be a private school. You're talking about the Catholic school.
But now they're giving drugs to kids.
But in a public school, I mean, you conservatives rail against the government. You want to get the government the right to spank your kids, Ron? Come on.
No, I want to get the parents that right. You're trying to take away parents' rights.
No,
parents should have the
I'm
right.
saying it's not the school's right to do it.
Parents
I didn't
should
say
have
anything
the
about
right.
Parents not doing it.
Well, if a parent says, I want the principal to spank my child, the parent should have that right. A lot of parents need that type of help, and that's what I support. I support the parents, and I support discipline, and I support rule. A lot of our urban school districts around the country, the kids are totally out of control. The teachers can't teach because the teachers are too busy to be police officers.
Mike Reagan, I am with you. When Alan has kids, he's going to agree with both of us. We'll continue this on the other end of the break. You're watching Network America Trust for real journalism, fair and balanced.
We now continue with Ron Price. Ron, in this issue of spanking in schools, corporal punishment, 51 students injured last year by school employees, as the Dallas Morning News reported. Doesn't that tell you there's a problem with the school doing this?
No, not at all. Those are accusations. We have no documents, no data supporting that. Those
you say no students were injured?
Well, we don't have any data that supports that. There was just some phone calls that came in. No one gave their name. They said, we heard a kid.
Well, is it a lie? Is it not true that students were injured in the commission of corporal punishment?
Well, we're trying to find it out now. We don't have any data to support those claims.
Well, if they turn out to be true, would you acknowledge that corporal punishment by a school is a bad idea if we find that it's true that any of these kids were bruised?
Well, let me put it this way. I don't support abuse of any child, but I support discipline. I support a principal having the right to have a parent there to watch them administer corporal punishment.
Well, look,
we need
H.B. Bell, the superintendent of Dallas schools, says that blacks get this punishment more often and that there's a racial component here and that blacks are victimized by this.
But here's the deal. The African-American trustees here in Dallas, we're not complaining about it. The African-American community is not complaining about it.
The superintendent
that was Dr. Bell's,
Why is the superintendent complaining about it?
Well, why isn't he complaining about it? Because it's not a major problem. And it's not like we have widespread corporal punishment here in Dallas. Most of the schools in the Dallas Independent School District do not even use corporal punishment. A select few schools do, and I support those schools.
Mr. Price, in my house, more white people are getting corporal punishment than black people. I trust you on that one. And it's not a bad thing. I was bringing up just before the break, I was talking to Alan, in fact, during the break, that, you know, what we've done is we've said, let's take corporal punishment out of the school. Let's not punish the little boys who are acting like little boys. And what have we replaced it with? America seems to be so mad at corporal punishment, but yet we're willing to give kids drugs to keep them calm in school. Is that outrageous?
That is outrageous. That's my argument. I don't believe in timeout, because timeout, all it does is give the kids 5 minutes to figure out how they got caught. I do not support suspension, because suspension is a 3-day vacation. Most kids will walk up to you today and say, suspend me. Please suspend me, because they want to go home and play their PlayStation. They don't have to do no schoolwork. They can sit at home and watch TV all day, eat and drink, and have a great time because they're suspended. And they're protected because they're suspended. And Mr. Price, we do not need to have suspension.
Something else for you and for Alan. I mean, the bottom line is corporal punishment does hurt. It's supposed to hurt. And children will always scream to high heavens about the hurt. But the bottom line is, you don't want it to hurt again. So what happens next time?
That's right.
You're good and you don't act up in class. And the other kids can learn instead of have to watch you cry like a baby all day long.
But, you know, corporal punishment is not for everyone. Principals just don't select kids and say, I'm going to use corporal punishment on that child. We have to get the parents' permission. And the parents support having corporal punishment. And all I'm here tonight to say, I support what the parents want to do. It used to be a country where we cared about what the parents felt. But it seems like all the laws are being turned around that the parents don't have any rights.
Thank you very much.
But I support what the parents want to do.
It's crazy to give that power to the state to do that to your kid. But look, thank you very much for being with us.